Hey guys, Unfrequented World Photography again, and this week we've been doing a series on Nik effects and post-processing tricks and editing tips, and I'm going to continue that today with another one, another filter that I think is essential to great photography. I use in the field, I've got a circular polarizer, a neutral density filter, and I use those quite a bit. You would use something like a circular polarizer when you're near water shooting birds and you want to tone down your reflections. You can use it in cloudy skies. There's lots of different things you can use these for. Tiffin are the best quality that I've used over the years. They're a little more expensive. Something like this might be 40 bucks, whereas the neutral density is even a little bit more expensive, around $130. But they're essential filters. Essentially, it's a dark piece of glass that's going to tone down the amount of light that's hitting your lens. And these are great for when you're doing video clips and things like that. To have a neutral density, a 10-step filter or something for video is common. But there is one filter that I feel that I don't need to carry anymore. I used to, and that's a graduated neutral density filter. And the reason for that is that we can do that post-processing, and I have taken shots over the years and compared at the Grand Canyon. Actually, was the last time I used my graduated neutral density filter. And when I got home, I thought just for giggles I had taken a bunch of pictures with the filter on and without, and I started using the Nik Effect filter, and I could get pretty much exact identical results. I've actually stopped using them, and I'll show you guys why. Okay guys, so here we are on the computer, and we'll just go into my editing program of choice, which is Corel PaintShop Pro X9. And I've brought up a couple images here that I did not use a graduated neutral density filter, but I can still show you what it would have looked like. So under the Effects tab, if we go down to Plugins, Nik Collection, Color Effects Pro 4, okay, over here on the left, you can select graduated neutral density, and that's going to bring up your sliders over here on the right. And we can see this first slider, it basically splits the image in a top half and a bottom half. So if you play with the top slider, it's going to darken or lighten, you can do either, the top half of the image. And then obviously the next one, lower tonality, does the same thing to the bottom half of the image. And essentially, this is why I've stopped using those graduated neutral density filters in the field, because not only can you adjust the top half of the screen, you can adjust the bottom half of the screen, which you can't do in the field. It looks the exact same when you darken these. You have a little more control over the amount you want to darken. And the other thing is you can brighten them, which you can't do in the field with the filter, the glass filter. So you're carrying around a lot of extra weight. You need to be very careful. They're expensive. This way, you're just doing it all in post. So let's just take a look and see what we can make this image look like. I'm actually going to apply a neutral density to both halves, just to bring up some of the sun reflection on the ground. This next slider here, the blend, is essentially where these two, the top half and the bottom half, meet. And it will just, it's almost like a feathering effect. It will overlap them more or less, depending on where you slide this to. Okay, and then the vertical shift is how far down does the top half go on the screen. So if we slide it to the right, it's going to go more towards the bottom. And the more we have this on the left side, it's just going to be near the top. So I'm looking, and I want it to just cover those mountains in the background there. So somewhere in there, that range for the top half. And the final thing you can do, which is really cool, is you can rotate. Okay, so if we have, let's brighten the bottom just so we can see it. If we rotate, you can turn the top dark half to whichever side you want, or the other side. Sometimes you take an image which has one half is brighter than the other. You can now do 90-degree graduated neutral density filters using this rotation. All right, so it's a super handy tool. I mean, the effects are pretty much identical to what you get using an actual glass filter. Let's take this back down to where I wanted it here. And then we'll click OK. Okay, so if we had shot with neutral density filter, it would have looked something like that. So there's the original, and there's the filter. The filter just brings out the nice colors. It can tone down if there's some, the sun is a little too bright. You can bring out those sun rays, can bring out reflections on the ground, and that's what the filter is good for, okay? I've got a couple other examples I can show you guys. I was on an architectural tour in Chicago, and again, no neutral density filters. If we were to apply it to this image, you would knock down this glare on the top. As well, we can bring up the bottom and make it stick out a little bit more. Again, plugins, Nik Collection, Color Effects Pro. Okay, and it's already selected because it's the last filter that we used. And if you want to see the effects that you're applying, you can just remove this little check mark in the top. Something like that. Very handy filter. Again, there's the original, and we've completely changed the lighting to kind of highlight this lower area down here. Original, and with the filter. Okay. And this one here is an example of what you can do when you've got an image that had a dark bottom and a light top. This plugin is perfect for fixing this. It's actually going to do two jobs in one. Normally you would have to lighten the whole image and then darken again. So now we can just lighten our bottom half of the screen with one slider. And I mean, it's all by eye. It's what you want. If we look here, there's the original image, light on top, dark on the bottom. And now we've kind of balanced that out. All post, didn't have to carry any filters, didn't have to buy any filters. So, I mean, if you already invested into them and you own them, keep using them, obviously. But if you don't, these are a great alternative. I can't say enough about this Nik software. It's just, the things that it offers for free are amazing. Okay, so this is the image that got me started on wanting to do this tutorial this morning. I was shooting some of these Juncos, dark-eyed Juncos that have come back, and I was outside, it was raining, the gear was getting wet, so I came in the house. And this one got a little too close. If we look at the bird, it's nice and exceptionally sharp, so I thought I really do want to keep that bird, but I was getting a reflection off the bottom of the window. Well, guess what? We can also use our plugin to fix that as well. Okay, so we're actually going to not do anything with the top of this image. We're going to set it to 0. And the lower half is what we want to darken. We're going to change this vertical shift. Somewhere around there. This is going to be a multiple stage process to fix this image, but okay, something like that. So what we've done is we've kind of taken out that high spot. We can show you that here. And made it much more neutral. There, that's a little bit better. Now to completely fix this image the way I want, at this point, we're going to add another filter, okay? And we could have done that on top, but we'll do it as a second step here. We'll go back into color effects. Okay, and this time we want to use a Pro Contrast. Okay. This is where we'll bring everything up and we'll kind of hide that change that we made, okay? So this is step 2. Okay, now we're getting there. The only thing I don't like is that this is still a little bit light down here and the color is a little bit off. It doesn't have the same warm color as the top. There are a couple things we can do to fix that. If we click over here and make a new layer, we can then go back into Nik Effects. Normally I would just do this all in one go, but I'm trying to show you guys step by step here. And we're going to add brilliance and warmth. Somewhere around there. We're going to click OK. Now because we added another layer, that warmth was added to the top layer. We can delete what we don't want. Don't want to change any of this color up here. Okay. And so now if we look, if you watch the bottom of the screen, you can see it's changing to that, it's getting rid of that blue, it's changing to a nice warm that we added. And then the final step would be to take our burn brush and to try to burn out a little bit of that darkness, and you would end up with something like that. Okay. Okay, so here we are. This is the original image, and now I can show you guys the changes we just made. And there would be the finished image. So original looks like that. And there's the finished image. So there you have it, guys. Graduated neutral density fixes in post. Hope you learned something, and stay tuned. We'll have more tips for you later in the week.